the Canadian port of Montreal, the 17th of July, 1936. Soldiers of the Great War returned to France as pilgrims.
We raise this memorial to Canadian warriors. It is the inspired expression in stone, chiseled by a skillful Canadian hand, of Canada's salute to her fallen sons. In that spirit, I unveil this memorial to Canada's dead.
High on the Vimy Ridge, they remember 60,000 Canadians perished from the earth. They had died in a war to end all wars. In less than 20 years, the everlasting peace was over. The 1930s. Benito Mussolini, fascist dictator, dreamer of glory. He will rebuild the empire of ancient Rome, beginning with the conquest of the Abyssinians. Joseph Stalin is purging Russia, and millions die. There is a sordid parade of broken men from the torture rooms at Lubyanka, through the mock courts, and thence to the chambers of death. Spain is convulsed by civil war. Here, the two extreme ideologies, black fascism, red communism, fight hand to hand. Almost 1 million Spaniards are dead before the fascist Franco wins. Imperial Japan. In the name of Hirohito, the warlords dispatch a brutish army to rape China. This was Paris, rioting bred of depression and disillusion. Each democratic country had its fascist Superman and his twisted following. Men like Mosley could see their perverted dreams unfold in Nazi Germany. How had this come to pass? The rigid authoritarian tradition, the wounded pride, the economic chaos, the demagogic mesmerizer, Herr Adolf Hitler. They needed a scapegoat, and he gave them the Jew. They needed their pride, and he told them they were the master race. They needed an absolute, a Wagnerian superhero, and he gave them himself. Mass paranoia gripped a whole people, and perhaps the most evil of all the civilizations of mankind was born.
Vor uns liegt Deutschland, in uns marschiert Deutschland und hinter uns kommt Deutschland.
On the shores of Lake Geneva, the once great dream for peace was coming to an inglorious end. Japan could invade China. Italy could enslave Abyssinia. Germany could march into the Rhineland. The League of Nations could do little. The great malaise was not confined to the old world. The Canadian attitude toward the League, said an historian, ranged from studied neglect to profound hostility. Canada's representative had risen once to propose oil sanctions against Italy, but this stand was hastily disavowed by Ottawa as an unfortunate mistake. After a trip to London in June 1937, Prime Minister Mackenzie King visited Hitler. He told the dictator that Canada would stand by Britain and said he was reassured. Privately, he is said to have described Hitler as a simple sort of peasant, not very intelligent, and no serious danger to anyone. Isolation suited most of Canada. The response was natural. They were sick of Europe's troubles, and the Great Depression was on. If, as one senator had said, Canada was a fireproof house, far from inflammable materials, it was a house in economic disarray. And just as the problems were beginning to sort out, European events again leapt boldly into focus. On March the 12th, 1938, Germany marched unopposed into Austria and proclaimed its incorporation into the Third German Reich.
Der Garant des Sieges.
Now, Hitler announced he wanted the Czechoslovakia and Sudetenland. The German people were exultant. In the teeth of this defiant greed, the hesitant democracies tried appeasement. Their spokesman was Neville Chamberlain.
When I was a little boy, I used to repeat, if at first you don't succeed, try, try, try again. That's what I'm doing.
At Munich, the democracies signed over to Hitler that piece of Czechoslovakia he coveted. Hitler piously declared that it was his last territorial ambition. To Mackenzie King, the Munich Pact was a far-seeing and truly noble action. Much of Canada was just as misled. Her pride